And what if I told you that one of the most dramatic transformations in Disneyland happens within 3 steps, and most people miss it? 1 minute you're on bright and cheerful Main Street where everything is polished, familiar, and safe, and then you walk under the Adventureland arch.
And suddenly, you're surrounded by shadows, flickering torchlight, and ceremonial carved masks. The air feels thicker, everything's older and more mysterious.
That shift was not a coincidence. Walt actually designed it that way. And the secret behind it all is contrast, one of the most important tools that we can use as designers. I'm David Block, and welcome to Designed in the Wild. In this series, I'll take you on a guided tour through each land to uncover the stories that they tell and to learn how graphic design helps to make them real. Tonight, we're stepping into Adventureland, where contrast doesn't just guide the design, it silently controls your experience.
Once you pass under the Adventureland arch, you'll begin to notice the details all around. You'll notice bamboo poles against plaster walls, weathered ropes wrapped around wooden beams, and carved native masks lit by nearby lanterns. When Imagineers designed this land, they drew inspiration from the travel posters of the 1930s through the 1950s. They really knew how to create drama with bold contrasts like bright shapes against dark silhouettes or rugged lettering against smooth backgrounds. The posters were meant to persuade Western travelers to get out, go on adventures, and discover far-off places. By the 1950s, America was caught up in the tiki craze. Bright colors, carved figures, tropical patterns. Americans became obsessed with Polynesian and South Pacific themes, fueled by returning soldiers' experiences, the romanticization of the islands, and the appeal of an escapist paradise. The tiki fad showed up everywhere. Tiki bars serving tropical drinks like the Mai Tai, themed restaurants, home decor, and even fashion. Aloha shirts and bold Hawaiian prints gave people a fantasy escape from mid-century American life. Walt definitely borrowed that tiki energy, but he added one rule: it had to feel credible. Imagineers filled Adventureland with carved tribal masks lit by lanterns and torches, real wooden crates and authentic hemp rope in the shops, and the tropical import signs surrounded by sacks and crates as if a shipment had just arrived. They believed that when the materials felt real, the story and your experience would also feel real.
But here's something you probably didn't know. Walt had a plan for Adventureland that even his designers shut down. It was bold, it was wild, and if it had happened, the Jungle Cruise would definitely look very different than it does today. And we'll come back to that, but first, let's see how contrast shapes the land's most overlooked features, like its signage. In design, contrast is about putting opposites side by side. So one stands out against the other, light against dark, smooth against rough, loud against quiet, large against small. Without contrast, everything blends together. And with it, your eye knows exactly where to look.
As we move deeper into the land, typography shows contrast doing its job. Look at the Adventureland Bazaar. At night, its sign seems to glow with dark letters painted on rough stucco, so the words jump forward. Just a few steps away at South Seas Traders, you'll find hand-drawn lettering on wooden panels. The difference in materials and colors make both easier to see and understand. The bazaar itself was designed like a global marketplace, layered, busy, packed with detail. In a space that's cluttered, contrast is essential. Without it, every sign would fight for your attention.
Good contrast does not happen by chance. Designers pick one clear difference, whether it's bold type, rough material, or glowing light, and let that single choice cut through the noise.
As we continue through Adventureland, lighting is one of the clearest ways to see contrast in action. The interiors are kept dim with lanterns hanging from the ceiling that give off enough warm glow to highlight certain details. wooden crates stacked in the rafters, or rope nets draped overhead, while the corners stay in shadow. This isn't just about mood. The lit objects stand out, the background slips away, and your attention lands exactly where the designers want it to go. It's the same trick Imagineers used later in the Haunted Mansion, a single candelabra glowing in a hallway. The light shows you what matters, and contrast keeps the story easy to follow.
Remember that bold idea from Walt that I teased you about earlier? Well, apparently he originally wanted to stock Adventureland with live animals. His Imagineers quickly pointed out that they were nocturnal and would most likely be sleeping during the daytime. The ultimate solution, though, brought something brand new at the time, which was robotic animals. The Jungle Cruise became the first attraction to use animatronic wildlife, and that breakthrough didn't just solve a problem, it sparked a design revolution in rides across Disneyland.
Of course, the animals were only part of the story. The rest of the environment had to feel alive as well. And that's where lighting contrast plays such a big role.
And that's how they guide your focus, even in a land as crowded as Adventureland. And it's what keeps the story clear, no matter how much is happening around you.
Now let's take a look at the attractions. Each one plays with contrast in its own way. Take the Jungle Cruise. Its marquee is rough wood with bold, hand-painted letters, a look that Harper Goff first used on the film The African Queen back in 1951. Goff was one of Disney's earliest Imagineers and a film art director, and his style helped shape the look of Adventureland. Inside the close quarters of the queue, we pass brightly illustrated travel posters that stand out against the shadows. We can also see the boats pulling in before we get to step out along the dock. All of these contrasts keep the experience playful. Over at the Indiana Jones ride, the contrast builds tension in a different way. Walking past stone serpent figures outside, we head into long, winding corridors that feel closed in. Along the way, booby traps with skulls on spikes add to the sense of danger. And deeper into the queue, the lighting shifts upward, spotlighting the stone effigy overhead, while the rest of the chamber sinks into shadow. Every step is designed to keep you on edge. And then there's the Swiss Family Treehouse. Compared to the others, it's calm. Outside, you hear the crowd, but once you climb up into the tree, walking past its turning water wheel, hearing the creak of the rope bridges and the birds calling overhead, it feels different. It's that contrast that slows you down so you can notice the details that you might have rushed past earlier.
Same principle, 3 different outcomes. At the Jungle Cruise, your experience is light and humorous. The Indiana Jones ride builds suspense. The Swiss Family Treehouse helps you slow down and relax. That's how contrast works. It shapes the experience you're having at the moment. And here's the design lesson. When you use contrast with purpose, you're not just decorating, you are directing emotion and crafting experiences that people will remember. Join me next time as we uncover more of Disneyland's hidden design stories here on Designed in the Wild.
I'm not just a graphic designer and a high school teacher, I am also an author. I wrote a book called The Dragon Codex, Quest for the Relics of Design. This is a great story about 3 young dragons who have to learn graphic design to save the world from creative destruction. It's a book for young adults, and it's a story about family, it's a story about friendships, and a story about finding your place in the world. Pick up a copy today. I know you'll love it.